Hi, this is a practice to help mobilize and reduce some tension from the neck and the shoulder area. We're going to do a little bit of movement, a little bit of mobilizing for the shoulders, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of a weighted practice, adding some a little bit of heaviness or resistance to some movement. For that part, you might want to have nearby you either can of soup or a bag of flour or a jug of water, a bottle of water. It doesn't have to be terribly heavy. That's something you can definitely experiment with and play with if you find that this practice is helpful for you. So adding more or taking away a little bit of weight. All right. So the first practice is to get some movement, some internal and external rotation into the upper arm and into the shoulder area. And this is great for those days where we might end up a little stuck, okay? And really helps to wake up the tissues around this sometimes overworked area. And again, if you're like me, maybe stressful days, a little bit over tense area. So just to get a feel for it, we'll try one at a time. You're going to take the fingertips of your opposite hand, whichever one you're not rotating, to find the upper arm bone. It's quite round, so you're not feeling into your collarbones or your shoulder blade. So finding that kind of roundedness of your upper arm bone. And we're going to start to rotate the arm in, so turn your thumb in and behind you, and then out. Externally rotate, turning your thumb out and behind you. So trying that a couple of times just to get a sense of that and to feel your movement happening from here rather than from here, because we could just move the lower arm on its own, but it's not going to benefit the upper arm and shoulder. So get a sense of that on one side, do the same thing for the other side, sort of palpating around there till you find the upper arm bone, and you can feel it move underneath your fingertips internally and externally rotating. Good. And when you find that, you can give that a little shake. You can shake out your feet before we get started. I'm just finding a comfortable stance. Doesn't matter too much where your legs are, what they're doing. You could even do this part sitting down. So bringing your arms a little away from your body so they've got some room to move. I'm going to start that on both sides, internally and externally rotate. Just finding that movement again right in those upper arm bones, all the way down to the fingertips. And then as you move internally and externally, can you gradually start to increase that movement? See if you can find a little bit more in each direction. We're moving slowly here. There's no need to kind of speed your way through this, so that you can really get into all of the tissues around that joint. Start to mobilize them, to wake them up just a little bit, maybe even encourage a slightly better oxygen or blood flow to the area if it does carry some chronic tension. Good. And then as you move, maybe exaggerating that movement a little bit. Maybe so as you externally rotate, shoulder blades might start to squeeze together a little bit at the back. And then as you internally rotate, they separate and you end up with this kind of lovely Frankenstein-y looking shape. So just as you go back, try not to let the chin or the chest jut forward. And a little bit more movement in there. So sneaking a little bit of extra movement around the chest and the upper back area. So the musculature of our upper back, our arms and shoulders, our chest and neck is all very interconnected. And it all benefits, even just from this simple little internal and external rotation. Good. You can give that a rest for a second or two to start to get to be a little bit of work after a while. Shake that off. We're going to continue with that, but we're going to start to take the arms up and overhead as we continue that movement. Just noticing when the arms come up, you're not bringing them up so high that maybe the shoulders are dropping a little bit, or that the chest and chin are helping out again. So bringing the arms a little bit out to the side. We'll start that same internal and external movement. And then start to bring the arms out. Good. And then as you internally and externally rotate, keep lifting them up a little bit higher. But don't lose the quality of that internal and external rotation. So try to really explore as much movement as you can find in your body right now. Movement that doesn't cause any discomfort or tingliness. However, so always watch for those little signals that maybe that's a little bit too much. And we're going to do that one more time. Just noticing how that feels in your arms and your shoulders. It does start to feel like a little bit of work after a while, and that's okay. Good. Hopefully maybe starting to a little bit of warmth, a little bit of heat going in the shoulders and in the arms. Good. And then as you work your way back down, really finding a nice full expression of movement in each of those rotations. Good. All the way back to the starting point. And then you can release that, shake that out, let that go. Well done. Okay. So start to rotate. So we're going to do a full circle rotation of each shoulder just to get a feel for that movement in the body. So with this one, we're going to add some weight to it in just a moment and add a little bit of some release for the neck into that. This is something I do, try to go to the shoulder. This is something I do in my own practice. My body is fairly bendy. And I find sometimes adding a little bit of heaviness, a little bit of weight to a movement like this can really help actually calm down some of that tension that might accrue throughout the day, more so than just stretching or just moving. So I'm just going to invite you to try this to see how it feels in your body by doing a mobility practice but adding a little bit of weight to it. So hopefully you grab the thing, whatever it is you're going to use. Doesn't have to be too heavy. And in fact, if you've never done this before with any weight in your hands, start off with something a little bit lighter. See how it feels, maybe gradually increase the weight. I'm going to use a kettlebell, and it's about an 8K kettlebell, but I have worked my way up to this. So before we start, I'll just show that movement again of each shoulder. So we're going to circle the shoulder forward, circle the shoulder back. We're going to do that 5 times in each direction on each arm. And then we're going to add a little side sort of release here for the neck. And you can, even within that, kind of play around with the positioning of the head as you move. So picking up either hand, because we're going to do both. Picking up whatever weighted object you choose. You're going to tilt your head away from the weight, away from that arm that's working. And then nice and slow, so the key here is slow. You're going to start to circle the opposite shoulder. And also, while you're working slowly, you want to try to get as big a movement, was one, as you can with that. If I lose count, hopefully you're counting. So you're circling either forward or back, nice and slow, big amount of movement, 5 times in that direction. Good, I think that was 4. I'm not so good at keeping count, apparently, when I'm on camera. And then pause, and then go back the opposite direction. So you can tilt your head any amount you could. If you don't lose count or concentration, you could move your head a little bit here as well. Just see how that feels on your neck. I'm not going to move my head right now because it's making me lose count. So that's 4, I think. And then 5. Okay. And then pause. Maybe just ease your head back up, maybe not straight up, so kind of ease the head back to your starting point. Put down the weight, and then pause, stand. Notice how you feel on that side compared to the side we haven't done yet. I always feel like that arm is about 8 inches longer on that side. And then we will do side 2. So, same thing, pick up your object, whatever you are using for that extra bit of weight. 5 circles each direction. Nice and slow, as much movement as you can manage in that circle. So kind of not so exaggerated that you start to turn your rib cage. So I do want to isolate movement into the shoulder. I think that was 4, I hope. And then 5, good. And then 5, opposite direction. Notice how one side feels compared to the other as well. Forgot the head tilt. Hopefully you tilted your head. That was a big mistake, but I am new at this, so please forgive me. You can move your head. Hopefully you were there already. You're gonna have to go back to the wall again from the start. Okay, and then 5. All right. Pause, pretending your head had been there the whole time. Ease it back to center. So again, maybe just not straight back up again. Lower the weight, and then shake out that side. See how that feels in both shoulders. Move your head and neck a little bit. Notice how that feels. And that's your practice. So you can do the whole thing sitting down or standing. Give it a try at home if you've had a day at your home office where things are feeling a little bit cranky in that area, or homeschooling your children and things are feeling a bit cranky, or you are one of our very, very important essential workers and just need a little break for your neck and your shoulders. So thank you all. Enjoy. Bye.